Alright, hello once again, Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and as part of the Rankin Technical College AWD, or Application and Website Development Program, and in particular the AWD 1111 .NET Framework with Web Databases class, I've been creating a series of video presentations that I'm using for the textbook that we'll be using for the fall 2019 version or whatever of the class. And the book, as shown on the screen right now, is Pro ASP.NET MVC 5, which is an A-Press text written by Adam Freeman. I'm working my way through the 27 chapters in the book, and I'm toward the end of Chapter 20 of 27. And I'm up to page 578, rendering optional sections. And as we can see here, by default, the view has to contain all the sections for which there are render section calls. If they're missing, it'll report an exception to the user. So to demonstrate this, they added a new render section call. Alright, for a section called scripts right here. I'm not going to put this in because if you put it in, it's just going to come up with an error. Alright, now, and it says you can use the is section to find, but a more elegant approach would be by passing an additional false value in right there, which makes the section an optional section. Which, when you think about it, that makes a lot of sense, especially when you're up in the part where you're, for example, you're testing, because you're just building the application. All right. Okay. Partial views, bottom of page 579. You will often need to use the same fragments of razor tags and HTML markup in several places. Rather than duplicating that content, you can use partial views. Well, if you've ever done any work on straight HTML, you'll note that a lot of times your pages, maybe your header and your footer will be the same on each page. Typically, you have to replicate that because that's usually the way that it is on client side. Then if you move over to a server side, it's so much nicer because you've got things like partial views, and it's different in different kinds of languages, but it's nice. In a partial view, as they say there, it's a separate view file that contains fragments, so you can pop it in on an as-needed type of basis. So, on page 580, as the author says right here, we're going to start by creating a partial view called myPartial. All right, so let's just follow their lead here. And the author says right mouse click on the view shared folder, on the views shared folder, and choose add view from the pop-up menu. It'll bring up the Add View dialog box like you see right here. They want you to call this myPartial. Keep it empty, but the key takeaway or the key note here is to create it as a partial view. All right. When you click the Add button, basically that's what you get. So I can go and pop in here what they want us to pop in here, which is just a simple div which says this is a message from the partial view. All right. We want to demonstrate that you can mix HTML markup and razor tags in a partial view. So the author says he's defined a simple message and a call to action link. To demonstrate this, we made changes to the views common list HTML file. Well, I don't even have a views common list HTML file, so let's make one. Views, let's add a folder. This is part of the reason my stuff before didn't work. So I'm going to add a folder called common. All right. And inside of there, I'm going to create a view, and it's going to be called list. All right, it will not be a partial view. And I'll just click add. And on 581, we'll add what's shown here. Consuming a partial view in the list. So what we've done there, as mentioned on page 581, is we've specified the name of the partial view file without the file extension. All right, you can see the My Partial there on line 8. The view engine will look for the partial view that we specified in the usual locations, meaning the views home and view shared. Okay. The Razor engine looks for partial views in the same way that it looks for regular views. All right, in the views controllers and the shared folders, etc. This means you can create specialized versions of partial views that are controller specific if you want to or need to. So let's come through here. Let's do our old file save all, and let's right mouse click on list and view it in the browser. If this works correctly, we should get what's shown in figure 20-9 on page 581. That meaning we should get just two lines, one that says this is the /views/common/list.cshtml view. Well, let's see. Doesn't like it says it can't find /common/list. /common/list. The resources you're looking for could have been removed, had the name changed, or are temporarily unavailable. Well, according to this, I don't want to say it. This could be what the problem is on it. Hold on just one sec. Delete. Let's go in here and let's put in here home/list. And I spelled it wrong. It says Homan. There we go. All right. So you can see we can jump back and forth. All righty. All right. Page 582. You can create strongly typed partial views and then pass model objects to be used when the partial view is rendered. To demonstrate this feature, we're going to create a new strongly typed partial view called My Strongly Typed Partial in the Views Shared folder. So, in our Views Shared, right mouse click, Add New Item. We want to go over here into, under Web, we want to go to MVC, and I believe we want MVC 5 View Page Razor. All right, and we want to change this to My Strongly Typed View. My Strongly Typed Partial. And click the OK button. There's nothing about the file itself that denotes a partial view, just the content and the way that it's made up. So what we are to put in here for content is what's shown right here on page 582. We've used the razor for each to display the contents of the view model object in terms of an HTML list. So we want to come in and we want to update our list file. That's good, that's good. That's fine. So we want to put in here my strongly typed partial new bracket bracket, and we'll put in our old familiar apple, orange, pear. All right, let's do a file save all. And let's iterate our way over to here. And it's running off of common list, so probably I screwed something up there, I don't know. But I'm going to change it to home list. And once we do, my strongly typed partial. Well, I had it. My strongly typed partial. I gave it a wrong name. Rename, it should be my strongly typed, not my strongly type. Okay, so I've changed it. Let's go back, and I have no idea if I can just refresh or not. Yep, we can. Same thing you see on the bottom of page 582. All right. Okay. Next, we talk about child actions here on page 583. Child actions are actions invoked from within a view. This lets you avoid repeating controller logic that you want to use in several places in an application. Child actions are to actions what partial views are to views. I like that. You can use a child action whenever you want to display some data-driven widget that appears on multiple pages. So, any action can be used as a child action. So we're going to add a new action method to our home controller. Let's just grab the entire 9 yards here. And the child action, as you can see, is in there. So let's come back to our home controller. Try that again. There we go. And as mentioned here, the action is called time. It renders a partial view by calling the partial view method. The child action only attribute ensures that an action method can be called only as a child method from within the view. So, having defined this, we need to create a partial view that will be rendered. So what we have here under views home, we should have time.cshtml. So we want to call that time, and we want to create that as a partial view. And the actual code for it is shown on the bottom of page 583 and going on to page 584. Oops. I guess that is it. So, child actions are invoked using the HTML helper, .action helper with this helper. The action method is executed, the view result is processed, and the output is injected into the response. So into our list, we now want to add this, which in an ideal world at least, once we go and run this again, it'll show us the time. So let's go into our list. Add that. All right. Let's go and run this again, review it in the browser. And again, I may have the wrong path in there. I don't really know. I'm not worried about it one way or the other, but if I do change this from common to home, it works, and there's the time. that pretty much is it. As the author says in this chapter, we explored the details of the MVC view system and the Razor View engine. Again, these are complex, complicated topics that you probably would end up using a lot more once you had a lot more experience with ASP.NET. So, another chapter in the books. When I come back in just a couple minutes, we are going to start going over Chapter 21 and Chapter 21, which is about the same length as this chapter, is our first of 3 chapters that are going to go over helper methods. So I'll be back with that very shortly.